Nigeria's economy is surging, but for many families, the price of a meal has become a weight too heavy to bear. That's the paradox the World Bank paints in its latest report. Growth on paper, but struggle at the table. Nigeria's GDP is rising, reserves are improving, yet food prices are crushing households across the nation. Let's unpack what's happening, why it matters, and how this fragile recovery could falter. Snapshot: Growth gains and economic signals. In its October 2025 overview, the World Bank noted that Nigeria has made strides across several macro fronts. GDP growth for the first half of 2025 was 3.9% year-on-year, up from 3.5% in the same period in 2024. The rebound is broad-based. Services, non-oil sectors, agriculture, and even oil production are contributing. Foreign reserves have climbed above $42 billion, giving a buffer against shocks. Nigeria records a current account surplus of 6.1% of GDP, helped by stronger non-oil exports and reduced oil imports. The reality check: food prices and household pain. Here's the uncomfortable counterpoint. For many Nigerians, the dream of growth is not yet lived. Soaring food inflation. The cost of a basic food basket in Nigeria has increased fivefold since 2019. For households already spending a large share of income on food, this is not a statistic, it's survival. Many low-income households now devote up to 70% of their earnings to food alone. As the World Bank warns, food inflation is the biggest tax on the poor. Food inflation has outpaced general inflation for some time, feeding a cost-of-living crisis that erodes confidence in gains elsewhere. Vulnerability to shocks. Poorer households have zero buffers. A small price spike or supply disruption becomes catastrophic. Nutrition and health. As food becomes more expensive, diets worsen. Less protein, less variety, more reliance on staples of lower nutritional value. Social and political risk. When households can't feed themselves, the social contract frays. Underlying drivers. What's fueling the tension? Structural bottlenecks and inefficiencies. Even with reforms, the economy still battles constraints. Supply chain blockages. High transport costs, poor road networks, and fragmented logistics inflate food costs. Trade barriers. Tariffs, import restrictions, and non-tariff bottlenecks raise input costs and limit competition. Weak agricultural productivity. Many farmers use outdated methods. Yields remain low. Insecurity in farming zones. Conflict, banditry, and displacement make agricultural investment risky. Related studies show 30+ million Nigerians exposed to food insecurity due to these factors. Climate stress. Drought, erratic rains, land degradation all push farmers to produce less, drive up costs. Macro policies that bite at the edges. Subsidy removal may have improved public finances, but transport, fertilizer, and input costs soared. Currency devaluation raised the cost of imported food inputs, fertilizers, machinery, seeds, agrochemicals. Inflation expectations. Households and traders build future price hikes into behavior, stockpiling, hoarding. Fiscal constraints. Though debt is stabilizing, government spending on social safety nets is still modest. External pressures and global cost dynamics. Global food prices remain high. The FAO index shows that food commodity costs are at multi-year highs, especially for oils, sugar, meat. Invest in storage, cold chains, transportation, rural roads. Promote regional trade integration, better connectivity across borders. Boost fiscal transparency and align spending. Ensure public expenditures focus on development, agriculture, infrastructure, health, education. Improve transparency and accountability so funds serve intended beneficiaries. Expand social protection. Scale up cash transfers, regular, predictable, domestically funded. Introduce crisis-responsive safety nets for food or input shocks. Target the most vulnerable, especially in rural, conflict, or climate-exposed zones. These are not quick fixes. They require political will, institutional capacity, and sustained investment. Risks that could derail the upside. Persistent inflation. If food inflation remains unchecked, real incomes will retract, possibly pushing growth into negative territory. Commodity price collapse. Should oil or other export prices drop drastically, external balances weaken. Policy reversals or instability. A change in leadership, abrupt policy shifts, or poor governance could shatter confidence. Security deterioration, more conflict, especially in agricultural heartlands, will amplify supply disruption. Debt pressures. While trending down, the public debt burden still constrains fiscal flexibility. What this means for Nigerians, and what to watch. For the average citizen, you may see modest relief if inflation eases or subsidies/relief measures expand. But the gains will likely be uneven. Urban versus rural, north versus south, rich versus poor. Food and nutrition remain frontline issues. Even when growth is strong, many may still struggle to eat well. For investors and markets, Nigeria looks more credible. Improving external balance, lower debt trajectory, and reforms are positive signals. But sensitivity to shocks means risk is still high. Returns must be hedged. For policymakers and civil society, real progress now depends not just on macro metrics, but visible human impact. Pressure will mount on the government to deliver on social safety, transparency, and inclusive growth. The crisis of trust looms. Growth without relief breeds disillusionment. Watch key indicators. Food inflation trends versus general inflation. Effectiveness and expansion of cash transfer programs. Agricultural output and yield data. Regional disparities in food access, security dynamics. Debt servicing burden and public spending shifts. Final take. Nigeria's recent growth signs are real. The economy is showing capacity to stabilize, rebound, and attract investment. But the test of leadership and legitimacy will be whether this growth changes life for ordinary Nigerians. Economic expansion without food security is like a bird with one wing. Growth must be anchored in relief, equity, and inclusion. Otherwise, it risks becoming a bitter mirage for millions striving just to feed their families.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this update and want to stay informed with fast, reliable news, don't forget to subscribe to Newsflash 360. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Your next headline is just seconds away.